Welcome everyone to Life Lessons from Movies, presented by my organization, the Zen of Hollywood, and me, your host, David MacKay. In this segment, we extract life lessons from movies and then use simple and practical tips to help us improve our lives and become happier, which I believe we all desire. Okay, today's theme is don't judge your relationships based on the outcome. And we'll examine this theme through the excellent film La La Land, starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. Please know there are spoilers ahead. Okay, this film, of course, focuses on these two characters, Mia and Sebastian, and they meet under inauspicious circumstances. Remember, they're on the highway in Los Angeles with all that traffic. When Sebastian passes Mia up, honking the horn because Mia isn't moving forward. So they have hostility from the very beginning. And they run into each other several more times, really passing each other up, not really connecting. When finally they do connect, they fall in love and they form a beautiful relationship. Now, one of the things that they share, besides love between each other, is this drive to realize their dreams. They both are dreamers. Mia wants to be an actress, and Sebastian wants to own his own jazz club. Now, they're together as a couple for quite a while until their dreams, their aspirations, take them in different directions. I mean, Sebastian is on the road a lot as a musician, and finally when Mia is successful as an actress and she starts getting roles, well, obviously she's very busy as well, and they end up splitting up. But what they really do to help each other, which is really interesting, is they help each other stay on track with their dreams. Remember, Sebastian is a musician, as I said, playing for this group that he doesn't really like. He doesn't like the music, but he does it for the money. When Mia basically stands up and says, "What are you doing? Where's your dream? You've put that aside. Get back on track here." And Sebastian does the very same thing. Mia had been trying to be an actress, attending many auditions and getting nowhere, getting rejection after rejection. And finally, she decided to give up. But when Sebastian gets the phone call from that casting director and Mia's not around because she's at home in her hometown, he tracks her down, finds her, and insists that she comes back to Los Angeles to go to that audition. And that's the audition that gets her that big role and that leads to her career. Now remember that final scene, 5 years later, they both are very successful. Mia is a successful actress, she's famous, and Sebastian has his own jazz club finally. Well, Mia and her husband are walking by when they hear the music playing in Sebastian's club, and he's on stage with several other musicians. They go inside and they're listening, and Mia and Sebastian's eyes meet, right? They make that connection. And there's that montage. As Sebastian is playing, they begin to imagine what their lives would have been like if they had stayed together. And remember that montage? It's so beautiful. They're dancing together. Everything is harmonious. Everything is working out. But then, of course, the montage ends. The little fantasy ends. They come back into the room and they realize, of course, that it wasn't meant to be. They look longingly at each other with a bit of sadness, but then they move on. Now, people watching that scene may have thought to themselves, wow, what a shame that they couldn't stay together. I mean, they had such a beautiful relationship, right? Too bad. What a shame. And we may have done this in our own lives, looking back at our positive relationships, having a tendency maybe to overly romanticize some of them, wondering why we couldn't have stayed together with them, forgetting about the challenges and difficulties that we went through. You see, the fact that we're not in a relationship with that person is all the evidence that we need to know that it wasn't meant to be, that it's not meant to be, that we're meant to move on, right? Everything is always as it should be. This is a universe based on design. And the fact that we're with somebody else or doing something else is all the evidence that we need to know that it wasn't meant to be, that it's time to move on, that we journeyed with that particular person as far as we could. We learned the lessons, hopefully, that we needed to from that individual, and it's time to move on to other life lessons. You see, when it comes to our relationships, we have a tendency to superimpose ego concepts in the form of expectations, high expectations of what we think a relationship should look like. I mean, instead of just enjoying love in the present moment, right, we have to name the relationship. Wondering if this is a long-term relationship, a marriage, right? Trying to define it all the time. And when we do this, quite often we can ruin the relationship. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, if we want a marriage, for example, then we need to be looking, right? We obviously need some structure, but we need to learn to relax a little bit, right? Instead of having expectations, how about standards instead? Defining the basics, the very basics of what we need to have the right compatibility with that person and go in the right direction with him or her so that we can have this loving, successful relationship. So let's stop judging our relationships based on the outcome. If we had a great relationship and we wish we could have stayed with that individual, let's understand that it wasn't meant to be. Otherwise, we would still be with that person, right? So there's no need for regrets. Yes, it's true that Mia and Sebastian are no longer together, but they can't look at their relationship and judge it based on the outcome. Because look at the way they helped each other realize their dreams. Conversely, if we were in an awful relationship that ended badly, we have a tendency to look at it and judge it, wondering how we ever got together with that person in the first place. But again, we can't do this because we never know what we were meant to learn from that particular relationship. Even if we were meant to learn what we want by knowing what we don't want. Sometimes that's what we have to go through in a particularly bad relationship. And oftentimes we can't see what we're meant to learn from that bad relationship until a long time afterwards when we have the proper perspective looking back at it. In the end, let's not judge our relationships based on the outcome. Let's understand that everything happens for a reason. If we're no longer in that relationship, it means that we're meant to move on, right? And we're meant to go on to something else, to a higher truth, to learn another life lesson. So let's accept this truth so that we can have personal peace and really enjoy what we have in the here and now. So what did you see as a major life lesson from this film? I would love to hear from you in comments below. And for more movies, tips, and life lessons, please go to my website, thezenofhollywood.com. That's thezenofhollywood.com. And please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.